Hey everybody, I'm Jason and welcome back to From Tree to Lumber, a YouTube channel about my continuing adventures with the sawmill. Today I'm going to tackle a large and somewhat ugly black walnut log that has been sitting out in the elements for far too long. In my last video I milled down a smaller piece from the same tree, and although there was a lot of waste, I did end up with some nice lumber. This log has a completely different character to it than the last one. It's the lower part of the trunk, so there are less branches and hopefully some reasonably straight grain hidden in there. Just like the last log, this one probably has about 3 inches of decay and rot around the heartwood, and there's definitely evidence of some pretty deep cracks, which unfortunately means there's probably going to be a lot of waste. The other challenge I'm going to have is just the plain size of this log. My sawmill only has an 18-inch capacity, and this log measures, 30 inches in some spots. It's definitely going to take a bit of chainsaw work to get it to fit. Now, the owner of this log doesn't need any long lengths from it, so he's okay with me cutting it into 2 5-foot lengths for easier handling. There's quite a bow to this piece, so that will likely work to his advantage, as I can kind of follow the natural direction of the grain a bit better. My phone kept overheating, so I had to move into the shade. Not only that, I'm starting to overheat. It's a warm day here. Got this marked out to cut with a chainsaw kind of that way. And the reason I've done that is because there's this knot and there's that inclusion of some kind. And this wood on this edge kind of bows in, so I don't think there's much of a loss there. I'll probably end up throwing that away anyway. If there is something salvageable there, I can still get it on the sawmill later. All right, so I've got it marked. I've got this white line marked, so I have somewhere to follow, and you can barely see it over here, but I've also done it with my my lumber marker there. And that will leave me about 21 inches. So when that base there sits on the bed, I'll have enough room to rip it down, coming from the top down. I'm gonna have to clean the sides up, but again, there's this big inclusion up here, so I'll probably end up cutting that off. And I'll get to that when I get to that. Right now, I've got to just rip this this side down. And so it went for most of an hour. Now, to be fair, I did break up all the hardcore cutting into shorter runs. I got some water, ate my lunch, sharpened the chain a few times, and did everything I could to not overheat the saw. As I said, it was a hot day. Eventually I got it down to what I think is a comfortable size to fit into the sawmill, and I definitely will go over those cut-offs and salvage what I can from them. There's still some good wood there. So it's a couple days later. It's a much nicer day today. Beautiful day, kind of in sort of the mid-70s, nice little breeze, sunny. Can't complain at all. Not like when I was cutting these things up, man, it was hot. Anyway, I got her on the sawmill. I'm pretty sure everything's okay. I had to do a little bit of notching here and there to get it to fit, but I think it's going to pass over it okay. If it doesn't, the chainsaw's right here, and I can touch it up when I get there. So I'm just going to take one slice off the top, and then I'm going to start taking some off the sides, and then I should have a cant that's good enough to continue on. got a big crack here. Gonna try to get underneath it. Let's look at it from the end. Yeah, it looks like it goes down at an angle, so I mean, this side's kind of rough with some of this rot, so maybe it won't matter. I'm going to cut this off here. This is the lowest edge. I'll cut it off there, and then I'll take a 5/4 piece off of that and see what it looks like. Yeah, this wood's looking pretty good. I'm pretty sure we're into some beautiful stuff here. Now you can see that classic green color that walnut has when you first cut it. It's a peculiar thing, but over the next couple of days that will turn brown. And there's a chemical reaction. I think it has something to do with iron 3, but that's another video. Maybe one day I'll do a little bit of science and see if I can figure it out. But yeah, this is some beautiful wood. I don't know if you can see this or not, but the way I've oriented this, the pith is down here. I've cut off from the sides to kind of keep it centered, okay? And I'm trying to keep it kind of down because this side over here had a lot of problems, right? But this side here looks really nice. So what I'm gonna do, and it's the same on the other end, the pith is kind of lower and centered. I'm gonna just take all my boards off of here until I get down to maybe, you know, about 4 or 5 inches, and then I'll take maybe a couple off each side, and that's going to be it, because this part here is no good for anything, right? Yeah, something kind of interesting going on here. I hope it's okay. So you can clearly see all that green, right? Again, classic walnut thing, but it's also quite light. And I'm not sure if that's a classic walnut thing. I hope the stuff's okay. I have read that it darkens up quite a bit after it's opened up. So I would have expected it to be a little bit darker. Now that is right from the very heart of probably a 30-inch log. So, this tree, I don't know how long it's been down, but even it's been down, say, 5 years, it's nowhere near dry on the inside. So it might very well take a little while for that to dry up. Because, if you look down here towards the end, where it's kind of, well, decomposed, honestly, but where it's drier, it's darker. So, I don't know. I guess time will tell, huh? Yeah, my pail's full up, too. Now, I know that walnut, under a walnut tree, you really can't grow anything because the roots, I believe, put out some kind of toxin. But I'm not sure about the sawdust. Now, my mom usually would put this around her flowers and stuff, but I told her that she probably shouldn't. So I'm just going to kind of dump this in the field. Okay, well, here's an answer to that last question I had about the color changing. So this is the piece I showed you just a few minutes ago, and it looked like that. I'm not telling you, maybe 10 minutes ago. So it goes from that to that in just a few minutes. So obviously there's big changes coming. So this last at least foot, maybe even more, is definitely rotten. You know, up to about here. So I'm going to take some off the top here, maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5, and I'll probably end up just cutting these off and throwing them out later because it's not much good. But there's still some nice wood there. There's still some nice kind of 3.5, 4 footers, so we'll get them. Yeah, unfortunately, that's all I'm going to get from that one. It's just got, there's too much going on. There's too much rot going on the inside. It's starting to show through. So, you know, it's unfortunate, but then again, that's the pith, and it's really kind of useless anyway. So I have to set that one aside. And that's it for that log. Got a pretty good haul, though. That, and then there's a couple more pieces over there, some there. I'll lay it all out and show you. Here's what we got. And there's some beautiful, beautiful wood here. This all came from just that one end, so I should get hopefully this much again from the other. The widest board here is 13 inches, that guy in the end. These other ones are about 10 inches, and even these small little narrow ones are still 6 inches. Now, there's definitely some rot on the end, okay, on the far end of a lot of these boards from that ant's nest. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my little circular saw. I'm going to zip them off, cut about a foot off maybe, or just so that the rot's not there. And then I'm going to seal them all up with log end treatment. Beautiful, beautiful pile of lumber here. Okay, last piece, and it's a beauty actually. I think we're going to do all right here. Got a little bit of an ant situation going on right here at the end. I was maybe a little optimistic when I ripped it down initially with the chainsaw as to how wide I could get away with on the saw. So I had to take out this little notch, but you know, I'm just trying to get as much as I can, right? Definitely some deep cracking, but all in all, I'd say this is a really nice solid piece of wood. So I'm pretty excited to see what we're gonna get out of it. Okay, my plan for this big baby is to just get the kind of the biggest, squarest cant I can, okay? And then I'll make assessments as to which side I'll cut from. I might have to switch around to get the best pieces, but for right now, I just want to get this thing down to a size that I can handle, and then we'll figure it out from there. First cut's gonna be really close. It's, you know, just barely cut down enough to fit underneath the highest point of the sawmill. It's not the blade, it's the actual guard. So the first cut's going to be a dandy, and I think if any problems are going to show up, it's going to be there. But I'm pretty optimistic. I've kind of checked it out, and I think it'll be all right. Ooh. Okay, so I've got her all squared up. It's a really nice cant. So this is the ugliest side. Got up 3 knots, and it's also got that notch that I had to put in for the sawmill to cut it. Now I have to be honest, I did put that notch on this side just because of that. I knew it was kind of a scrub piece. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take off a 1-inch slab just to clean up that little edge. And then I'll start flipping it around and looking for the better lumber. All right, so I'm always trying to improve, right? I'm always trying to get better and better at this. And one of the things I've been working on is getting my cants as square as possible. So I'm kind of curious with a big cant like this, it'll show me just how close I am. So let's measure corner to corner. So right here, we are just about exactly 18 1/4, just a touch more than 18 1/4. And then over here, we are, wow, 18 5/16. So I'm a 1/16 of an inch corner to corner out of square, which, to be honest with you, I'm really happy with. So I'm doing okay, and look at that. I've got my pith right in the center. And I'm starting to learn things. Things are coming along. Okay, here we are with this this surface here, which has got some beautiful green. It's got the last of this little bit of rot, and it's got a crack kind of sneaking into the side that goes down a little bit. So when I was talking to the owner, he said, you know, a couple of 2-inch pieces aren't too bad. I think this might not be a bad place to take a 2-inch piece, just because I'm not really sure just what I would get with 2 5/4 pieces here. So maybe I will go with a 2-inch, and then if he has to take off a little bit, he'll still have a beautiful 2-inch piece. Less that, maybe he could hide that on the bottom, because I might be able to get underneath it with this cut. So that's the plan. You know, there's some really nice grain here. I might just go ahead and maybe take 2 or 3 nice 2-inch pieces. These are sort of 12 inches wide, so You know, they'd be beautiful chunks of lumber. Okay, once again, as we're getting closer to the center, we're starting to find more problems. There's a whole bunch of worm marks here. It's too bad because that's a beautiful piece of wood. But you know, there's still some good here, and then from kind of here on is still nice. So I think I'm gonna take, yeah, I think I'm gonna take a 5/4 off of that edge and see what it looks like underneath. And then I'll just keep rotating around and taking the best surface, 5/4, 5/4, and until I can't take any more. All right, well, we're down to this last little bit of the core there, the center of the log, and it's full of knots and it's kind of garbage and a bunch of cracks. So I'm not going to cut any more lumber out of that. I'll probably just throw these center pieces just on the top of the pile for him, and he can do whatever he wants. Maybe he wants to make, I don't know, a mantle out of it or something. It'd be useful for that, I guess. Anyway, I have no use for it, so and it's not much good for anything other than some kind of rustic thing. Anyway, let's sort it all out, take a look, seal up the ends, and wrap this video up. Yep, here's the last batch, and there's some beautiful wood here. There's some 2-inch planks. They're about 14 inches wide, a couple that are about 10. Then we've got a handful of 5/4. Once again, really, really nice wood. Fair bit of waste, unfortunately, in this piece again, but that was understood when I took it on, that there was a lot of rot. So that's going to be it. I still have to pick through the scraps to see if I can get anything usable out of them. And there is. I don't know that it's worth making a video about.
And that's going to be it for this video. It was definitely a challenging and, well, interesting process. I'm very happy with what I got. There was a lot of nice wood here for him, and I'm sure he'll be happy. Take care.